not otherwise provided to you. My concern is caused by the confirmed fact that the information can be inaccurate. And my belief is that inaccurate information could conceivably influence a parole decision. To explain further, it is documented that Shira is now correctly classified as close custody inmate, whereas he was incorrectly classified as medium custody at the time of last year's parole hearing. In fact, he was incorrectly classified as medium from August 2022 until February 2024, for a year and a half, when the SCDC Deputy Director of Operations, Mr. Anderson, got involved, confirmed that Shira's medium classification was wrong because the relatively new inmate classification process or procedures had not been correctly applied, and had his classification corrected back to close as it had been for the past 37, 38 years before the misclassification. So he was classified medium and had to be changed to close. I believe there could be similar classification inaccuracies existing now, and there could be others in the future. Unfortunately, the general public, including victims like myself, probably do not know an inmate's classification, much less what it should be. They do not understand how the classification process is supposed to work. They assume, as they should be able to, that the custody and inmate record staff do their jobs correctly, and therefore they do not personally need to keep up with classifications. While Shira was misclassified, he was held in medium custody institutions which are have less supervision and less security than he should have. And he was given more privileges like visits, more phone call time, increased canteen spending, different work assignment possibilities, and maybe others that he should have had. He should have had those extra opportunities. It bothers me a great deal that Shira was misclassified and received additional unwarranted privileges. However, I take comfort in knowing that those things are all over and done with, at least for Shira. The way I look at it is his receiving the low-level security and the additional privilege is the bad news. The good news is that this parole board performed your job effectively, not allowing misclassification to affect the parole decisions. I thank you for that, and it is one of the reasons I am here today. I could have delivered my comments today by several other means, but I elected to travel from out of state to be here to thank you for your prior decisions and to express my opposition to Shira's current request. While I am appreciative that Shira's prior parole requests were denied, it concerns me that when a misclassification occurs, as it did in Shira's case, I believe that under certain circumstances, the parole decision could conceivably be impacted. I feel that Shira's crime is so heinous or gruesome, coupled with his really bad behavior while incarcerated, that he should never be paroled. Although this parole board has always made the correct decisions regarding Shira, even when the misclassification existed, I feel that SCDC classifications and inmate record division, by not performing their job correctly, partially, quote, paroled Shira from close custody for a year and a half. Obviously, I hope that SCDC will not allow such problems to occur, but there are reasons to believe that other inmates could currently be misclassified because of inaccuracies in the past, and that similar problems could occur in the future. unless and until it is verified and confirmed that the real root causes or systemic issues that have been properly identified and addressed. In February 2024, an Assistant Deputy Director of Operations agreed that SCDC would perform a review of the application of the classification procedures to make sure that root causes and systemic issues were identified and addressed. However, weeks and months passed with apparently little, if anything, being done, with a request for status updates being ignored, not even acknowledged. Finally, after the status request was intensified, replied in late April saying that things like that looked to me like they were talking around the issues but not really addressing them. For example,
Mr. Bulwer, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir, but we have no control over the classification system at the Department of Corrections.
I understand that.
And I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate you sharing all of your comments. But the Parole Board has no authority to comment or anything regarding the procedures and policies that occur at the Department of Corrections.
And I appreciate it, and I recognize that, and I know that, and I stated that up front. But I feel like a few minutes ought to be allowed.
And I'm allowing you a few minutes, but if you could please wrap up your comments, we would greatly appreciate it, sir.
Well, I'm talking about comments about a subject that let somebody be misclassified for a year and a half.
Again,
So I
sir,
think
we
that's
have
worthy
no
of a few
authority
comments.
over that. We are here simply to determine if Mr. Shira is a good candidate for parole, and if so, what his guidelines would be. We do have criteria that we look at, and that is published, public information. It's on the website. I'm very sorry, but we just have no authority over classification or changing that process.
But I'm getting to things that you do have authority on.
Okay, in the interest of time, I would respectfully ask you to just speak to your comments about being opposed to parole and anything in regard to that.
She wants you to talk about how you oppose the parole here.
I did that already.
Yeah, and that's all you have, that's all they want to hear from you. That's what they want to hear.
If you can just please summarize the rest of your report, we would greatly appreciate it, sir.
If I can
Thank
do
you.
what?
If you could please
I'm
just...
sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. If you could please if you could summarize the rest of what you have to say, we would greatly appreciate
Okay,
it.
so I'll do that. I'll just go to the final point.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
About the parole.
Can I start where I summarize and read the final paragraphs?
Yes, sir. Certainly.
Okay. To summarize, thankfully, the parole decisions for Shira in 2022 and 2023 were not affected. His misclassification has now been corrected, and I believe that he will always be correctly classified in the future. But Shira is just one inmate in the population of thousands. Just correcting Shira's classifications did nothing to fix the root causes and issues, although SCDC and State Inspector General act like it did. There is no confirmation that the root causes issues have or will be properly addressed. Therefore, it concerns me that some other inmates might be classified wrong, either now or in the future, and in my view, in some circumstances, an incorrect classification could conceivably influence a parole decision. I'm talking in generality now, not...
They don't care about
I believe a diligent review such as requested by the State Inspector General should provide needed answers. I believe that a thorough review might identify several problems that could be viewed as root causes. For example, inadequate training on the recently revised process and procedures, reluctance to use the override feature because when it is used, the person doing review is required to perform additional documentation work for review and approval, tendency by the CNIR classification and inmate records management to minimize the importance of accurate classifications, overzealous determination to show that the relatively new classification process will meet the stated goal of significantly reducing the number of close inmates.
No,
It was
she
stated,
told you they have nothing to do with
and
that.
ineffective management review and control procedures. Based on my experience in trying to understand the how and why of Shower's misclassification, all listed above items seem to be real. But this is the key. But I believe that the deepest rooted cause is the cavalier attitude that seems to be present in the SCDC. Not all, of course, but too many staff seem to have the attitude that they can ignore or violate procedures without facing any consequences. And too many illustrate that they are more focused on denying or justifying problems than they are on owning and fixing them. Even resorting to misleading half-truths and or untruths to do so. And it appears that State Inspector General, for some reason, is reluctant to challenge or confront SCDC. I have tried and am continuing the effort to learn what is really being done to identify the root causes so that misclassifications will not occur in the future, and identify and address any existing misclassifications. So far, these efforts have been unsuccessful because of SCDC's misleading and non-committal feedback and the Inspector General's denial of a request to perform a review, which I believe is authorized and responsible. My concerns might be viewed as overdone, but I believe they are realistic until and unless we know that the problem has been solved. Because of what I think are good reasons to be skeptical that root causes issues have been appropriately identified and addressed, especially in light of the position that SC and State Inspector General are taking, and my belief that parole decisions could conceivably be affected. I feel justified, and this is what you asked me to get to, and it took me a while. I feel justified in asking this board to please be aware of the confirmed problem and if something does not look or sound right, please ask legitimate questions for clarification. Obviously, you should be able to use the information that is maintained by the Classification and Inmate Records Division, knowing that it is accurate. We need to get to that point, but unfortunately, the facts it's described above tell us that we are not there yet. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you. We appreciate all of your comments, and again, we are very, very sorry for the loss of your brother. Thank you both for traveling here with us today. If you all will exit with these ladies, we'll have an answer for you in just a few moments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. This is Yolanda Hemingway with the Office of Victim Services. The statement will be read from Carolyn Bolware Sanders, a family member of the victim. I am the 84-year-old sister of the victim, Charles Thomas Bolware, who this piece of humanity murdered in 1984. I cannot attend the parole hearing in person, but I want you to know how important this is to my family and me. This was a heinous crime in that my brother was beaten to death with a baseball bat, his body decapitated and mutilated, and his personal belongings and vehicle burned. I would never in any shape or form agree with the notion that this murderer is paroled or released into any community ever. He would be a dangerous threat to society and a menace and nightmare for law enforcement. I request this letter be read before the full parole board, and I plead to the board not to release this murderer. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Let there be truth in the sentencing. Let him continue to serve his life sentence. Thank you for hearing my voice and considering my wishes highly. Respectfully, Carolyn B. Sanders. End of statement. And the room is clear.
Mr. Charles Shara is denied parole. The vote is unanimous. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 28. Case number 28, James Robinson. One moment as Lee connects. Hello there, Lee. Confirming you are Mr. James Fitzgerald Robinson.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining you before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Mr. Robinson. We hope you are doing well this morning. Please tell us what you have done to get ready for parole, sir.
Well, good morning to you all, and thank you very much for having me. Well, actually, what I've done is I've maintained courses, classes that Department has offered. In addition to that, I've been into a mentoring program down in the CBU where I'm currently living, and continue to work. Was doing vocational classes, doing it while the gentleman, before the gentleman had took sick, and the program is no longer up and running at this particular time. And as well, just continuing to stay positive and do positive things, working every day down at the prison industry with this, working with this job with Frontier Service Incorporated that they have coming in. And just continue to stay positive and continue to excel and do well and prepare myself for, this parole.
Thank you, sir. What are your plans if you are paroled?
My plans is to continue to elevate and never return to those particular things and things that caused me here. My plans is to work continually. Plan to work with this job in the prison industry that I'm working on now. If I'm paroled, they are willing to employ me there, as well as just like I say, staying positive and doing well in society.
All right, Mr. Robinson, if you had the opportunity to speak to any of your victims, what, if anything, would you say to them at this point in your life?
I would tell them, I would say to them how sorry I am and for causing them any pain and suffering. I would also let them know that they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing to have me to violate them in any way. And I would pray every day that they had not allowed my behavior to hinder them in their daily life. I just want you all to know that I am so sorry for causing any pain or harm to anyone. And that wasn't who I am, and that's not who I am to this day. Although I committed crimes, although I done wrong. But I guarantee each and every one of you that's there today that this is nothing that I would have in my life again. I would not sit before you all and have pleading to you all to give me this chance and have each one of you to regret granting me parole this day. I promise each one of you that. It's just...
Were you under the influence
Yes,
of
ma'am.
drugs or alcohol when you committed your crimes?
Yes, ma'am, I were.
And are you clean and
And
sober today?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Have you
And I
taken?
have no intention, ma'am,
You go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I have no intentions in returning to any of those, that lifestyle again. During my incarceration time, just recently, I've been under the throat cancer. I had throat cancer, and by the grace of God, it's been now in remission for about 11 years, 12 years now. And those things, the smoking and all of the stuff, right, that caused me problems, that caused me harming other folk, I would not turn back to doing those things to influence me in another way and cause other people pain and suffering. I'm just, again, my heart is so full of remorse for causing folk harm. You know, I had a family and got a family that loved me, loved folk, and have never, you know, done these things.
Thank you, sir.
And they support me. Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are paroled, that you will need to register as a sex offender?
Yes, ma'am.
Will that be an
And
issue?
I am, ma'am.
You were willing and able to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else?
And any,
Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that we know today?
I want you all to know that under any stipulations among making parole or getting granted parole, under any stipulations that you all will have me to have to go through or whatever, I tend to live through it and do it. Like no other. I just want this chance. I need this chance.
Thank you, sir.
I plead to each and one of you.
Are there any
you,
additional
ma'am.
questions from the board?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am. This is Mary.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
You committed a crime twice at the same residence. Can you tell me why?
I have no reasons why committing these crimes is just. I really don't know. I can't. That's a question that I can't answer. But just trying to make money, get money to support those habits that I was in at that particular time.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Robinson. We certainly appreciate your time this morning. If you'll exit the room, sir, we will have an answer for you later today. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear.
Mr. James Fitzgerald Robinson is denied parole. The vote is unanimous. Numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 6. Case number 6, Henry Bluer, and will be represented by attorney Michael Stover, who is present with him at the institution. One moment as they connect. Hello there, Allendale. Confirm you are Mr. Henry Bluer.
Yes, ma'am.
There with you, we have attorney Michael Stover, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you both for joining. You're before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, gentlemen. We hope you both are doing well this morning. Mr. Bluer, I want to let you know that we did receive the packet of information that was submitted to us, and we have reviewed it, so thank you very much for that. Mr. Stover, are you going to begin, or is your client going to begin?
I'd like to begin, and I will try to be as brief as possible to reserve time for you guys to speak with Mr. Bluer this morning. Ready to begin if the board's ready to hear from me.
Yes, sir, certainly.
Okay. Thank you all again for your time. As mentioned, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. As the board is aware, this is Henry's 9th hearing before the board. He is currently served 35 years of continuous incarceration. Henry has been incarcerated since he was 22 years old. And I'd like the board, if you could, to think back to when you were 22 and what kind of person you were, the things that you did, the things you enjoyed at 22, and compare that to the person you are, the things you do today, the things you enjoy doing today, and just understand that we all change over our lifetime, and Henry's no different. And the change that's occurred with him from 22 years ago to today has been rather immense. I know you've all reviewed his parole file. You've read the things that we've submitted on his behalf to you. You understand that he did plead guilty to the crimes he's convicted of. He has consistently taken ownership of the things that he did, and he's consistently expressed remorse for the crimes that he committed. One thing that I would note that is absent from the parole package that we did have an opportunity to review today is that after he completed his GED, he went on to earn his high school diploma through a cooperative program that the Department of Corrections had with Somerville High School. And I do believe that the documents that show that is in the information packet that I submitted to you a few weeks back. He's been a participant in many programs, Operation Behind Bars, and several other programs that show that, not only is he grown and become a different person, but he's now somebody that wants to give back to his fellow inmates. He wants to give back to the community at large. Notably, he's had no disciplinary infractions since 1995. So for the past almost 30 years, he's been able to avoid having any kind of write-ups. That's kind of the functional equivalent of going 30 years without even having a speeding ticket. So obviously the factors that you guys consider, the respect for authority, the ability to keep himself out of trouble, he's shown that over the past 30 years during incarceration. No drug or alcohol incidents since then either, and one of the things to keep in mind is because of his participation in Operation Behind Bars and the other things that he's done, he has been consistently and regularly screened with urinalysis and things. So, there's ample evidence that he has not had issues with alcohol or drugs during his incarceration for the past 30 years. I think if you review the Compass report and all the documents that we sent in, you understand that he poses very, very little to no risk of recidivism, very, very little to no risk of violent recidivism. And I think it's time for the board to let Henry, restart his life outside of prison. Pending any questions for me from the board, that's all I have for you this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Stover, and thank you for all the information. And again, you answered a number of our questions within the packet, so thank you for that. Mr. Bluer, tell us how you feel about the crimes that you're convicted of.
I feel terrible it happened. I wish I could go back. I wish that I could change things, but I can't. So I grow from it, and I've learned from it, and I've learned the value of life since I've been in prison. And I told my lawyer earlier, I said, prison did me really good. I'm glad I come to prison, but I hate that I came to prison for what I came to prison for, because I can never give them their life back, but I can live my life for them by helping others and stuff like that, dedicating my life to trying to change other people's lives. Like through Operation Behind Bars, I talk to troubled kids and stuff that come in. I was a troubled kid my whole life growing up, and I try to talk to them and tell them ways to stay out of prison instead of trying to come to prison. Drugs and alcohol is the main factor of people coming to prison, and that's what I preach against.
So how can you assure us that if we grant you parole, that something like this would never happen again?
Because I'm not the same person that I was when I committed my crime. I'm not in the same mindset. I don't even have the same values that I had back then, the same perspectives. Everything in me has changed. I'm a totally different person than when I was on the street.
Is your plan still to go to Jumpstart?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And beyond Jumpstart, what are your plans?
To drive trucks and operate heavy equipment. I plan to buy me a little trailer and maybe a half-acre of land and join the church and try to give back to the community. I still want to work with prosecutors and stuff through Operation Behind Bars to tell my story, not just to troubled kids, but to adults and anybody that'll listen.
All right, I want to let you know that we did also receive a letter separate from your packet from Miss Gilstra, a community organizer, and that has been placed in your parole file. Is there anything else that you want to make sure to tell us today, sir?
And I'm not the same person I was when I committed my crime, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry from the bottom of my heart. Not just to the state of South Carolina, but to my victim's family also.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any additional questions from the board? Mr. Staver, anything in closing, sir?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate both of you being here today and for all of the information. If you all will please exit the room, we'll have an answer for you later today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is, we have additional testimony facilitated by the Office of Victim Services.
Yes, please wait as the victim joins by telephone. Yes, can I speak with, is this Mr. Schaefer?
Yes, ma'am, this is him.
Yes, if you would, please state your name and your relationship to the case of Henry Bluer.
My name is Jeremy Wainwright Schaefer. I'm the son of Lucian Wainwright Schaefer, the deceased, and Henry's my uncle.
Thank you, sir. Please wait for the board to address you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Schaefer. We are very sorry for the circumstances that brought you to be a part of this hearing today, but thank you so much for joining us. At this time, we would like to know from you whether you are for or against parole, and if you would like to make a statement, you are welcome to do so, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I'm for parole at this time, and I'd like to make a little quick statement. I know y'all don't have all day.
It's okay. You go right ahead.
Okay. Mr. Henry, I know he was incarcerated for 36 years almost. We keep in touch on the phone. We wrote. We remorsed together. He has achieved so many programs in the system helping other inmates to get out and be a positive life. I know Henry, he's very remorseful for what's taken place back in '89, all due to drugs, believe it or not. And I believe he's very forgiving, and we were raised to forgive. And I know my dad would want to give him a second chance also, to better his life and get out. And I promised him that I would help him in any way I could if he was paroled. And my understanding is if he is released, he will be going to a jump start. So I checked in all that, and that's a wonderful program also. But I just can please consider my uncle parole at this time, and thank y'all for y'all's time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. We really do appreciate you calling in to speak with us. Someone from Victim Services will be back in touch with you to let you know the outcome of the hearing. Thank you, sir. We wish you well.
Okay, thank y'all so much.
Please
Bye-bye.
wait as the road clears. The room is clear.
Is there any discussion? Voice votes, please. Mr. Boyd,
Deny.
Mr. Eldridge,
Deny.
Mrs. Murray,
Approve.
Mrs. Taylor,
Deny.
Mr. Weidman,
Deny.
and I have denied. Mr. Henry Frampton Bluer is denied parole. The vote is 5-1. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 35. Next case is case number 35, Craig Anthony Stubs. One moment as Evans connects. Hello there, Evans. Confirming you are Mr. Craig Anthony Stubs.
Yes.
Thank you for joining you before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Mr. Stubbs. We hope you were doing well this morning. Please tell us what you have done to get ready for parole.
I prepared myself by attending all the classes that was required, and attending any other class that I can. I made provision through education with the jobs that I worked with, and I guess that's about all I've done.
All right. What is your plan if you are paroled?
My plan is to work and to maybe get into a drug treatment program and to be a positive community person.
We are looking at your institutional record, and you have some infractions from this year. In February, you were using some type of narcotic. What was that?
But it was described as marijuana, but the officer said that by her experience, I was under the influence. She never made no confirmation on that matter.
Have you used anything since then?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you mentioned that you might want to participate in a drug treatment program. Is that something that you've done in the past?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've completed a couple of classes for drug treatment.
All right. If you could speak to your victims or their family, what, if anything, would you say to them at this point in your life?
That I was young and foolish at the time that this crime was committed, and that my actions are no longer looked at, and I'm very truly sorry for the loss of the family. If I could change anything, I would. I've since learned to be a man and not a young boy that was doing good things. I now value life and accept my responsibility for the things that I've done. And I hope for forgiveness and hope that the family can forgive me as I pray to Lord Jesus Christ to forgive me for my crimes.
Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you committed the murder?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Is there anything else that you want to tell us today, sir?
That I'm truly sorry for my past actions, and that I've learned that now to how to live, to be a man, and to survive, and try maybe pray that this committee would give me a second chance, if you provided for my co-defendant, to reform myself and to show you that I can be productive in society and do the right thing. I can make you proud by giving me a chance to show you that I would never commit any more crimes against any state or anywhere. And I wondered if this board realized that I've been asking for out-of-state parole, that I'm trying to get to a state that have more opportunities for people who've been convicted of crimes and crimes such as I have. They have programs down there that would help me to rehabilitate and to stay positive and to be accepted into society again and to dwell in a better environment and help me get better jobs and all. This program called Savannah Impact Program, I've been communicating with them, asking them for acceptance to their program, and they have a very high rate of recidivism for inmates not to come back or, you know what I'm saying, re-offend. And I'd like to be a part of that program.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any additional questions from the board? All right, Mr. Stubs, thank you for coming in today, sir. We appreciate your time. If you will please exit the room, we'll have an answer for you later today.
All right, thank you.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear, and we do have additional testimony facilitated by the Office of Victim Services.
Please wait as the victims join from central office.
Good morning. You all have a seat and be comfortable.
Thank you.
You are here for the parole consideration case of Craig Stubs, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We are very sorry for the circumstances that brought you all to be a part of this hearing, but thank you so much for joining us today. Before we begin, I do need each of you to please state your name for the record and your interest in this case. Ma'am, can we begin with you, please?
I'm Nancy Lee, the mother of the victim.
Thank you.
Patrick Lee, brother of the victim.
Bonnie Lee Claiborne, cousin of the victim.
Dale Lee, cousin of the victim.
Thank you. And again, we appreciate you all being here, and we're very sorry for the circumstances. At this time, we would like to know from you all whether you were for or against parole, and if anyone would like to make a statement, you are certainly welcome to do so.
I'll attempt to be brief and save you all time for the much long day you probably have of doing more of these. We oppose and strongly make an appeal to you all to oppose Craig Stubs being released. Y'all sit and look at a piece of paper to review cases and incidents that have happened in the past, and you have to make a decision. It's not always easy with a piece of paper because ink fades, memories fade, and circumstances don't always stay fresh in the minds of people that are not always close to victims. You have a tremendous responsibility and a burden upon you. And I'm sure y'all take that extremely serious. But I would also ask you to please maintain the fire that is within you all to continue to do the justice to the cases that need to be overseen and the right decisions made. The paper fades, but the value of the life we should all hold extremely delicate. The measure of a life itself is why justice was actually constructed, and that we must value it. It's not an easy decision for some of y'all, I'm sure sometimes, but we must think that this was my brother was a young man, 18, 19 years old. I was just 11, 12 when this happened. And they made a decision as an offender to brutally murder him. Tied him up, shot him 4 times in the back of the head was not a mistake. That was a conscious decision. And I ask you to maintain the value of a life and preserve justice. And that you have that burden, but you also have that duty. And you can make the world a better place. And this isn't about revenge or unnecessary suffering. It is so we do maintain the value of a life. And we thank you for taking a moment, for allowing us to speak and come forward to ask this. And I challenge you all, make this final appeal to you all. Jeff Lee was a young man, and his justice needs to continue for him. And I thank you all for allowing us to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. We certainly appreciate your comments. And again, we are so very sorry for the loss of your brother. Does anyone else wish to speak? And you all are in agreement with Mr. Lee's statement. Well, again, we thank you all for taking the time to be here with us today. If you all will exit with these ladies, we'll have an answer for you in just a few moments. We wish you well. Mr. Craig Anthony Stubs is denied parole. The vote is unanimous. Numbers 1, 4, and 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 16, James Fosik. Case number 16, James Fosik. One moment as Terry connects. Hello there, Perry. Confirm you are Mr. James Donald Fosik.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining you before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Mr. Fosik. We hope you are doing well today. Please tell us what you have done to get ready for parole.
Learned a skill that I feel like I would be an asset to the public. I've been involved in a CBU program for 5 years now. And I've kept my nose clean and stay away from trouble. I just pretty much prepare myself to be released if it's the will of the board.
Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you committed this murder?
I was smoking marijuana, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any issues with drugs or alcohol at this point in your life?
I haven't touched anything in the last 17 years. I've pretty much done away with it. But if it's required to take an ATU program, I'll do that.
Right. And who do you plan to live with, and where do you plan to work if you are paroled?
I have to sign up for a parole employment program until I can find the job that I'm looking for. But I plan on living with a friend in Richmond, Horwath, and Liberty and Anderson County.
Mr. Fosik, if you could speak to your victim's family at this point in your life, what, if anything, would you say to them?
I am sorry from the deepest parts of my heart. I know I caused them an unimaginable amount of pain. I owe them a debt I can never really pay it. And I just wish I had never put Mary Lee in that situation. It was an accident. It shouldn't have never happened. And I am sorry.
Is there anything else that you want to make sure that we know today?
No, man, that's about it.
Are there any additional questions from the board?
I was just wondering. No, no, I don't.
Well, we thank you for coming in and thank you for your time, sir. If you will exit the room, we'll have an answer for you later today. Thank you, Mr. Fosik.
Yes, ma'am.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear, and we do have additional testimony facilitated by the Office of Victim Services.
please wait as the victims join from central office, and then we will bring a telephone victim in.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You are here for the parole consideration of James Fosik, is that correct?
That's correct.
Would you please state your name for the record and your interest in this case?
My name is Jonathan Gasser. I was the lead prosecutor here in Richland County on Mr. Fosik's second trial, the trial for which he is currently incarcerated on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gasser. I think we have an additional victim we need to bring in at this point, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Hold, please.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. and Mrs. Witten?
It's Mrs. Witten and son Jeff.
Thank you, ma'am. I apologize. Please state your
That's
name.
fine.
If you could,
My name-
state your name and relationship to the case of James Fosik.
My name is Sandra Witten, and Lee was my daughter.
Thank you, ma'am. And also, if your son...
Do you need for him to tell you?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. Hello?
Yes. Please state your name and relationship to the case of James Fosik.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. My name is Jeff Witten, and I'm Lee's brother.
Thank you. Please wait for the board to address you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning to the Wittens. I want to let you know that we do have Mr. Gasser here with us in central office. Thank you for joining us by phone. We are very, very sorry for the circumstances that brought all of you to be a part of this hearing today, but we certainly appreciate you joining us. Ms. Witten, do you want to begin, or would you like Mr. Gasser to go first?
Mr. Gasser could go first.
Yes.
And thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. Mr. Gasser.
Madam Chairwoman, this is, I've been present during all of Mr. Fosik's parole hearings, but just for the record, I first got involved in this case when I was a law clerk. I believe it was the summer of 1986. It was dubbed the Summer of Fear here in the greater Columbia area because Sherry Faye Smith went missing, Deborah May Helmet went missing, and Mary Lee Witten went missing. And of course, the first two were victims of Larry Jean Bell, and unfortunately for Mary Lee, she was victim by James Fosik. Mr. Fosik abducted her in the lower Richland area of Richland County, took her to a wooded area, he raped her, and then he crushed her skull with a funeral urn. He was originally arrested and prosecuted, I believe it was late 86 or early 87. It was my third year of law school. I worked on the case as a law clerk. He was convicted, sentenced to life. 9 years later, his case was overturned on post-conviction relief as a result of an error that then Solicitor Anders had made. He was granted a new trial in 1995. I was then the deputy solicitor here in Richland County, and I was the lead prosecutor in 1996. You have all of the facts before you. One of the things I did want to state for the record, I worked on over 400 murder cases in my 20 years as a federal and state prosecutor, including 89 jury trials. And the one thing that stands out with Mr. Fosik with me were his eyes. I sat there and watched him over a period of several days, twice. His first trial in the 80s, and then when I prosecuted him in 1996. And he just had dark, emotionless eyes. And I just would never forget those eyes. And I would respectfully request on behalf of the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office and the Richland County Sheriff's Department, who granted me permission to come for all of Mr. Fosik's parole hearings, and we are opposed to him being released from prison. And I thank you for the time that you've given me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gasser, and thank you for all the work that you've done. We certainly appreciate it. Ms. Witten, do you or your son wish to make a statement?
I do. And thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak for my daughter, Lee. I am her voice. I was 41 when she was taken from us. I'm now 80 years old, and all I have left are pictures and memories. She loved animals, and she took that part-time job at that animal clinic, and that led to her death at his hands. My daughter Kay reminded me this week, she lives in Colorado, and she reminded me that South Carolina is a law and order state. And I thank God for that. It doesn't get easier at all, because I have nothing left. I oppose his being released, and I thank you for all the work that you do for the state of South Carolina. And I thank all of the victims advocates in your office. They are so kind and helpful. And I again want to thank Johnny Gasser for all his hard work and kindness through the years. And I am opposed.
Thank you, Ms. Whitten. Mr. Whitten, did you wish to say anything, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to say that I'm opposed, and also to thank you and Mr. Gasser for what y'all do. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And again, we are so very, very sorry for your loss. But thank you all for taking the time to join us today. It really does mean a lot to us. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gasser. If you all will please exit the rooms, we'll have an answer for you shortly. Thank you. We wish you well.
Thank you.
Wait for the room to clear.
The room is clear.
It's clear.
Mr. James Donald Fosik is denied parole. The vote is unanimous, numbers 1 and 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 11. Case number 11, Billy Clanton. One moment as water reconnects. Hello there, Watery, confirming you are Mr. Billy Dennis Clanton.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining. You're before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Mr. Clanton. We hope you're doing well. Please tell us what you've done to get ready for parole.
Well, I went through several different anger management classes, domestic violence awareness, maintained a job the whole time I've been here. Just trying to get this part of my life behind me. I made a mistake, and there was no excuse for my behavior, and I just like to have the opportunity to try to be the man that my kids and grandkids need me to be.
Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you committed this domestic violence assault?
I was drinking that night.
Okay. And what about you have a previous domestic violence conviction from 2017? Were you under the influence then as well?
Yes, ma'am. I was drinking that night too.
Okay. And have you participated in AA or any programs within the institution that have been helpful to you?
Yes, ma'am. I completed Solutions Road to Recovery, and I've going through the AA classes that's on the MBO tablet, and I've been going through them now for probably 3 to 4 months now. I've got like 40 different certificates on the MBO. That's what I do to pass my time when I'm not working, and there's a lot of helpful information in that.
Okay, good.
It's taught me a lot of things that I didn't know then, but I know now.
All right, and where are you planning to live if you are paroled?
I'm planning to go back to my house, which is on Tadlock Road in Jefferson, South Carolina.
All right, if you could speak to your victim, what, if anything, would you say?
Sorry. I wish I could go back and change it, but I can't.
Do you have any contact with your victim?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any children with her?
Not that I know of. I know that somebody said that she had got pregnant, but I don't think it's mine, just to be honest.
All right, is there anything else that you would like to tell us today, sir?
I would just like to have the opportunity to go back out and become a productive member of society, because before I got locked up, I was working 6 days a week, and I made a bad decision, and I know now what not to do, and that the answer ain't in that bottle. And thank to God that I haven't drank anything in going on 4 years now, and I don't plan on drinking nothing else.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any other questions from the board? All right, Mr. Clanton, thank
no,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you for coming in today, sir. We appreciate your time. If you will exit the room, we'll have an answer for you later this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear, and we do have additional testimony facilitated by the Office of Victim Services.
Yes, please wait for the victims to join its central office. After central office victims, we do have a statement to be read separately.
Thank you. Good morning. You all are here for the parole consideration of Billy Dennis Clanton. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We are very sorry for the circumstances that brought y'all to be a part of this hearing today, but thank you so much for joining us. Before we begin, I do need each of you to please state your name for the record and your interest in this case. Can we begin with you?
Dixie D's ex-stepdaughter. Melissa Schimber, ex-wife.
Thanks again. We appreciate you being here, and we're very sorry for the circumstances. At this time, we would like to know from you all whether you are for or against parole, and if either of you wishes to make a statement, you're certainly welcome to do so.
Against.
It's not necessary, but if you'd like to say anything else, you're welcome to, but you certainly don't have to. Well, thank you for being here, and again, we are very, very sorry for the circumstances, but we wish you both the very best. If you'll exit with these ladies, we'll have an answer for you in just a moment.
Okay,
Thank you so much. The room at Central is clear.
Please wait as OBS Hemingway has a statement to be read.
The statement will be read from Jamie Dees, the victim. I am opposed to parole. Mr. Clanton tried to strangle me on the night of December 31st, January 1st, 2020, during an argument when I terminated the relationship. Since the first attempt he made to take my life, I have not felt safe, as he has stated he wants to finish what he started if released. Not only do I fear my life, but the lives of my children as well. He will only do this again, as he already has, after faking an illness to be released the first time. He will continue his actions until he finally succeeds to taking a woman's life. Respectfully, Jamie Dees. End of statement. The room is clear.
Mr. Billy Dennis Clanton is denied parole. The vote is unanimous, numbers 1, 2, and 4. Thank you.
Thank you. The time now is 10:30 a.m. We will pause for our first 10-minute break. Ms. Hunter, if you can advise when the recording has been paused.
The recording has been paused.
Thank you. See you guys back in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Ms. Hunter, if you can advise when the recording has resumed.
The recording has resumed.
Thank you. It's 10:45 a.m. We're resuming our hearings. We're heading to Goodman for case number 14, Danica Felder. Case number 14, Danica Felder, and she has supporters. One moment as both parties connect. Hello there, Goodman. Confirming you are Ms. Danica Felder.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And their support site confirming you are here in support of Ms. Felder. You all verbally advise you are in support of Ms. Felder?
Yes.
Thank you for joining you before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Ms. Felder, and good morning to the ladies at Watkins. Thank you so much for joining us today. Ms. Felder, please tell us what you have done to get ready for parole.
I took classes, a lot of self-meditating and going to church and just getting myself together to get parole and going up for trying for housing and putting in applications for halfway house.
Is your plan to go to a halfway house if you are paroled?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, you were convicted of voluntary manslaughter. Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you committed this crime?
No, ma'am.
And what, if anything, would you say to your victim's family if you could speak to them?
I'm sorry. I hate that it's happening. I wish I could take it all back. I'm a changed person. I'm not the way I used to be, and I just want a chance to get out of here and just make things right and live a good life and be a positive citizen and give back. And I just hate that it's happening. I'm sorry. And I'm very remorseful.
All right, Ms. Felder, how can you assure us that something like this would never happen again if we granted you parole?
Staying around positive people, not doing things that I used to, keeping a track mind, staying in the church, raising my son, and working, and living a positive life.
All right, thank you. What's the most important thing that you've learned while you've been incarcerated?
That it's okay to walk away and realizing what I did wrong and changing myself and realizing how I could be a better person and taking the steps to be a better person.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell us today before I give your supporters a chance to speak?
I just pray that I'm given the chance. I'm not the way I used to be anymore. I changed in so many ways, and I'm very remorseful and wish to have a second chance at life.
All right, I see that you had an infraction in April of 2023 for some type of narcotic. What were you using then?
I was Remeron. It was a sleeping medication.
All right, are you still?
And now I have my own prescription for it.
You do, okay. Are you working with mental health?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that helpful to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that something that you would be willing to continue to comply with if you are paroled?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ladies at Watkins, I need each of you to please state your name for the record and your relationship to Ms. Felder, please.
My name is Barbara Isaac. I am Danica's aunt.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac. The other lady?
My name is Cindy Felder, and I'm Danica's mom.
Thank you, Ms. Felder. We appreciate both of you ladies being here to support her today. Do either of you wish to speak on her behalf?
Didn't understand the question.
I just said, would either of you like to speak on behalf of Ms. Felder?
Yeah, like I said, I'm Danica aunt, and I knew her all her life, when she born. And sometimes my kids, tends to stray away, even though they brought up in the church. But, life is like a learning thing. Things happen. And I just pray that you hope that you guys can, kind of give her another chance, to prove herself. So I just, like I say, I knew her all over her life, and I think she's a pretty good kid, and things just happen. And it's no excuse for what she did, but I just hope that she's learned that things don't have to be the way it turned out to be.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac. Ms. Felder, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I think she learned a lesson, and I pray that y'all grant her mercy. She do have a 12-year-old son, and he misses her and loves her very much, and I feel that she learned a lesson, and I hope y'all grant her mercy.
Thank you. Again, we appreciate you being here. She's very fortunate to have your support. Are there any other questions from the board? All right, ladies, thank you for joining us. If all of you will please exit the rooms, we will have an answer for you later today. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear.
Ms. Danica Felder is denied parole. The vote is unanimous. Numbers 1, 3, 4, and 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 37, Matthew Thomas. Case number 37, Matthew Thomas. One moment as Tiger River connects. Hello there, Tiger River. Confirming you are Mr. Matthew Randall Thomas.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining you before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Mr. Thomas. We hope you are doing well today. Please tell us what you have done to get ready for parole.
I've been doing Adobo certificates. I've been finding a house, a halfway house to go to. And I don't know what else to say.
Which halfway house have you applied to?
It's called the AYA house.
Okay, and what is your plan beyond that?
To find a good job and save up my money and like buy a car, buy a house, do everything I should have done before I got arrested.
Mr. Thomas, you were convicted of criminal sexual conduct with a minor, 3rd degree. Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you committed your crime?
Yes, ma'am.
And what, if anything, have you done to address those issues?
I've been going to Narcotics Anonymous. I've been hanging out with people that are trying to stay clean and do the right thing and all that.
How long have you been clean?
Since August 28th.
Are you working with mental health?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that helpful to you?
It is.
Right. Is this probation violation still pending?
I don't think so. I had a friend call up there, and she said they didn't have any warrants for me in North Carolina, so.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us today?
Just, regardless if I make it or not, I'm improving myself, so that's it.
Do you understand that you will need to register as a sex offender if you are granted parole or when you max out your sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
We thank you for coming in, Mr. Thomas. Are there any additional questions from the board?
No, ma'am.
All right. If you will please exit the room, sir, we'll have an answer for you later today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear, and we do have additional testimony facilitated by the Office of Victim Services.
Please wait as we have the victims join from Central Office and also Anderson Remote Office.
Good morning.
Yes, Anderson Remote Office?
Yes, we're here.
Yes. Can you please state your name and your relationship to the case of Matthew Thomas?
I'm Carmen Jensen, and I'm the mother of one of the victims.
Joanne Jensen, I'm one of the victims.
Thank you both. Please wait for the board to address you.
Thank you, ladies. We do have two other people here in central office. Ladies, I need you to please state your name for the record and your interest in this case.
My name's Rebecca Reed, and I'm the mother of the victim.
My name's Kaylee Dupree, and I'm the older sister of the victim.
Thank you all so very much for being here with us today. We are so very, very sorry for the circumstances that brought you to be a part of this hearing, but we certainly appreciate you joining us. We do have the facts of the offense, and we've heard from Mr. Thomas. At this time, we'd like to hear from you all whether you are for or against parole, and if anyone would like to make a statement, you are certainly welcome to do so. Would you all like to begin here in Central, or the folks at the satellite office in Anderson? Who would like to start?
I can start.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Again, I'm Rebecca Reed. I'm the mother of the victim, Chloe Dupree. I'm here today. I wrote what I was going to say because I didn't want to forget it. To express my extreme opposition to the parole of Matthew Thomas. On October 5th, 2021, he committed a horrific sexual assault against my daughter, Chloe. This crime committed in front of 11-year-old Bella has had a devastating and irreversible impact on both Chloe and Bella's lives. Chloe has endured severe trauma, including multiple suicide attempts, one of which left her in ICU. She's been in and out of mental institutions. Bella, who witnessed the assault, has also been deeply affected, experiencing her own emotional and psychological trauma. Our bond with Chloe as a family has been deeply damaged, and I'm deeply concerned about her future as well as the lasting effects on Bella. I want the parole board to know that I don't have a hate for Matthew Thomas. I've known Matthew Thomas since he was 12 years old. When he was a troubled teen, I took him in and I tried to help him before my children were born. And despite my best efforts to guide him, he continued to struggle. Matthew was in the hospital the day Chloe was born. So it's with a heavy heart that I have to be here today before you. More recently, he came to Myrtle Beach seeking my support in sobriety. His attempts at sobriety were inconsistent, and with one period lasting up to a year, but ultimately he was unable to maintain it. The assault happened with Chloe while she was babysitting a friend's dog with her younger friend Bella. Matthew Thomas showed up at the house. He convinced her to try alcohol for the first time and convinced her to take extra seizure meds. While she was drugged, he sexually assaulted her in front of an 11-year-old. This experience has left Chloe struggling with severe PTSD, anxiety, and depression. She has difficulty trusting people and has become increasingly withdrawn. Chloe's trauma is manifested in numerous ways. She has nightmares and flashbacks that make it difficult for her to sleep. She's become isolated, withdrawing from friends and family, and has lost interest in activities she once enjoyed. The emotional and psychological scars are profound. And despite ongoing therapy, her recovery is slow and still uncertain. Chloe dropped out of school. She stopped taking care of herself physically. She's even shaved her head in a moment of duress. Bella, too, has been affected, struggling with fear, anxiety, and trust issues as a result of witnessing the assault. Matthew Thomas has a history of drug abuse, and the fact that he was on probation at the time of the assault further demonstrates his disregard for the law and his potential to reoffend. His actions show a pattern of behavior that poses a continued threat to society. To my knowledge, he's shown no remorse for his action and hasn't taken responsibility for the harm he caused. The lack of accountability is deeply concerning and suggests that he has not undergone necessary rehabilitation to ensure his harm to others in the future. His inability to maintain sobriety, even with support, and his history of violating probation continues to highlight his disregard for legal boundaries and societal norms. The fact that he committed such a heinous crime while on probation underscores his potential danger to the community. If released, I feel there's a significant risk he could reoffend, putting others at risk of similar harm. Furthermore, that lack of remorse and failure to take responsibility for his actions suggests he has not internalized the gravity of his crime. The mindset is dangerous as it indicates a lack of empathy and understanding and consequences of his actions. Without genuine remorse, commitment to change is unlikely, and he will not be able to reintegrate into society safely. May he be eligible for parole while Chloe continues to live with the devastating consequences of his actions. It's unjust that he should be granted an opportunity to move forward with his life while she continues to suffer. The impact on our family has been profound. We do live with the emotional toll on all of us, and it has been immense. Chloe's siblings are also affected as they struggle to understand and cope with what happened to their sister and why she changed. I urge you to consider the severity of Matthew Thomas's crime and that you do not grant him parole. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Reed. And again, we are so very, very sorry for all that your family has been through. And we certainly hope that Chloe will be well. Ladies at Anderson, do either of you wish to speak?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very much opposed to Matthew being on parole or released in any way early. I go by Nikki. My name is Nikki Jensen. My daughter is Bella. And the best way I can describe it, because Becca hit it way better than I ever could, is that their family was the first family that I found in recovery. Our kids bonded rather quickly. And, you know, through all the 2 years in recovery together, we have grown very, very close. So though our kids are friends, we are very much like a family. And when Matthew came to that area and had been in Becca's life for so long, you know, we all welcomed him and never thought twice about welcoming him as another one of us. None of us ever foresaw this happening. And like Becca said, our kids have not been the same since. Their bond has not been the same since. My daughter watched something shortly after she was honest about something that happened to her in her past. So it was like back-to-back trauma for her. And neither girl has been the same since. Their friendship's not the same. The family dynamics are not the same. I watched Bella struggle with relationships with men to begin with, developing them with any level other than her grandfather or her brothers. She just cannot. She doesn't trust. She has severe anxiety issues. I'm very grateful that they have not gone to the extent of Chloe's, but I have stood beside Becca as she has stood beside Chloe through all of the after effects of everything that has happened, and neither girl has been the same since. And I do not feel that it would be just in any way for Matthew to get out any earlier than he already. I'm sorry, but I personally did not think that the time he was given was enough. So to get out early would just be horrific to me. I think my daughter already knows that we moved to this area over the summer, and we were notified shortly thereafter that Matthew has moved not too far from our area, and she already has anxiety about that. So having him free, I honestly I don't know that I'm ready to deal with the effects that would come from that. So I'm very much opposed to him getting out. I'm sorry I'm not as eloquent as Becca, and I could not write it out. I didn't know what I was going to want to say. But thank you.
And thank you. We certainly appreciate all of your comments. Young ladies, do either of you wish to speak? You certainly do not have to. But if you would like to say anything, you're welcome to do that.
Felder doesn't.
Thank you. It's okay if you don't want to speak.
Yeah, I know. I know it's okay. I would like to.
Okay.
I remember how we found out it happened. Whenever Chloe, I never saw it coming, honestly. They were really, really close, her and Matthew. And I kind of just thought, she's got an older friend to hang out with. I hung out with some older people too. Matthew was a family friend, so nobody ever really thought twice about it. Whenever he would, Chloe didn't even think to call or ask if Matthew should be there coming in the house. And I remember we found out whenever Chloe first tried to kill herself, and she wrote a letter because she expected to actually do it, telling her to ask Bella what happened that night. And none of us knew what happened that night. I don't remember how we found out, but it was my mom who found out first, as far as I know, that Chloe had been raped by Matthew. And honestly, I didn't want to believe it at first, but it's not like Bella or Chloe would lie about that. So it was totally messed up to hear about, and mine and Chloe's relationship has not been the same since that has happened. She used to come to me for everything, and now she's always trying to protect me from everything like I don't know anything. But I know this stuff. I'm her older sister. And she's always trying to protect me from everything that happened, telling me everything's fine, when I know it's not fine. She has that look on her face whenever it's not fine. And she hides everything from everyone. I find stuff out because, I hang out with her all the time. Before she left, when she left for Texas, she didn't tell anybody she was actually leaving. But I think I understand why she left from here. Things have been horrible here ever since that happened to her. But I don't want him out of there. No. Okay, I think I'm done talking now.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. You're a very, very brave young woman, both of you, for joining us, and we thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. And your sister is very fortunate to have such a great sister. So thank you for being here today. We really are very sorry for all that you have been through, and we wish you all the very best. If nobody else has anything that they would like to share, if you all will exit the room, so we'll have an answer for you later today. Ladies, here, you can exit with these ladies right over here. Thank you so much. We wish you well. Thank you, ladies in Anderson.
Please wait as the room clears.
Anderson remote site is clear.
The room at Central is clear. Mr. Matthew Thomas will be denied parole. The vote is unanimous. Numbers 1, 4, 5, and 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 7, James Brutin, Jr. Case number 7, James Brutin, Jr. One moment as Tiger River connects. Hello there, Tiger River. Confirm you are Mr. James William Brutin, Jr.
Yes, ma'am.
For joining you before the board, please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Mr. Brutin. We hope you're doing well today. Please tell us what you have done to get ready for parole.
Well, I've been taking a trade, and and active.
What trade have you been working on?
I'm doing auto body.
Okay, is that something that you would want to do on the outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a place to live, sir?
Yes, I do.
And where's that?
120 Westover Drive with my aunt, Mary Madeline Brutin.
Right, Mr. Brutin, were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you committed this murder?
Alcohol, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what have you done about that, your issues with alcohol?
Well, I took substance abuse and drug abuse classes since I've been in.
Okay. How do you feel about the crime that you committed?
I hate it happened. I'm very sorry that it happened. It was a decision I shouldn't have never made.
What's the most important thing that you've learned during your incarceration?
Well, to be obedient and obey the law and rules and regulations.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us today, sir?
No, ma'am.
Are there any other questions from the board? All right, Mr. Brutin, thank you so much for your time, sir. We appreciate you coming in this morning. If you will exit the room, we will have an answer for you later today. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, officers.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear, and we do have additional testimony facilitated by our Office of Victim Services.
Please wait as the victim joins virtually. Lieutenant Harwell?
Yes.
Yes, good morning. Please state your name and your relationship to the case of James Brutin.
Yes, my name is Lieutenant Doug Harwell. I'm with the Spartanburg Police Department, and I oppose parole for Mr. Brutin.
All right. Please wait for the board to address you, sir.
Good morning, Lieutenant Harwell. We hope you are doing well this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. At this time, we would like to know if you are opposed to parole or if you were in favor, and if you'd like to make any additional statement, you are certainly welcome to do so.
Thank you. On behalf of the police department, we oppose parole. I was reviewing the case. It's one of those cases that it kind of shocks you a little bit. I'm sure the board's looked over the case, but Mr. Brutin, the homicide itself is bad, but he hit him with a pipe, thought he was dead, come back later, seen he wasn't dead, hit him again, then after he was dead, he left. It just, Chief Thompson told us that, and he's mentioned it several times, that you can't rehabilitate evil. I think those actions pretty much describe evil. We think that he rightly deserves the sentence he got, and we just ask the parole board to let him continue serving the sentence that he earned.
Thank you, Lieutenant Harwell. We appreciate your time and your comments, sir. Someone from Victim Services will be back in touch with you shortly to let you know the outcome of the hearing. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
Please wait as the room clears. And the room is clear.
Mr. James Brutin Jr. is denied parole. The vote is unanimous. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case will be case number 39, Charles Tyson. Case number 39, and Charles Tyson, and he does have supporters. One moment as both parties connect. Hello there at Tiger River. Confirm you are Mr. Charles Tyson.
Yes, I'm Charles Tyson.
Thank you, sir. And there at our support site, confirm you are here in support of Mr. Tyson.
Yvonne Tyson.
Thank you both for joining you before the board. Please wait for the chairman to address you.
Good morning, Mr. Tyson, and good morning to the lady at Watkins. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Tyson, please tell us what you have done to get ready for parole.
Well, I stayed married. I work in the chapel. I've been part of several programs. One in particular, the Academy of Hope at Lee County, which was a violence interruption program that was established there in 2019 in an effort to quell the gang violence that was at the prison. I'm married, I got a wife, I got a home.
All right, tell us what's the most important thing that you've learned during your incarceration.
That there's consequences for actions, whether they're good or bad. If you make bad decisions, bad consequences follow. If you make good decisions, we expect that good consequences will follow.
Mr. Tyson, what, if anything, would you say to your victim's family if you had the opportunity to speak to them at this point in your life?
That how sorry I am, and that I wish that day never would have happened, and I wish I would have been more clearer thinking. I wish I was growner. I wish I had a better understanding. I wish I would have listened to my parents.
Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you committed this murder?
Probably smoking some marijuana at that time.
Do you have any issues with drugs or alcohol at this point in your life?
Well, I haven't been high in a while. Since 2013, I do believe.
Is there anything else that
But
you...
if I was to be granted parole and I had to take classes or whatever y'all say do, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. Whatever you say do.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else that you want to tell us before I give your supporter a chance to speak?
My supporter.
Sir, I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you said?
I said, my supporter right there, she can speak.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ma'am, would you please state your name for the record and your relationship to Mr. Tyson?
My name is Yvonne Tyson, and I'm Charles Tyson's wife.
Thank you so much for being here today. We certainly appreciate that. Would you like to make a statement on his behalf?
Yes, I would. I would like to say that I've been with Charles Tyson for 35 years. And I've grown to know him, and I know his heart, and I know that he loves, he loves people. And not only that, during the whole 35 years, we've always talked about the wrong decision that he made and how he hurt the Joyner's family. And if he could do a do-over, he would do it. And, he's been doing a lot of good things. I know back in 2020, when they had COVID real bad, and not even the officers wanted to take care of all of the COVID patients, because at Lee County, they were all housed at Lee County. And so they knew that somebody had to do it, and the inmates needed help. And so he and 3 other guys, they went in and they took care of these guys that were infected with COVID-19. And during that time, I contacted my church and we prayed 24 hours a day, because it was so dangerous, to the point where not even the officers or the medical staff wanted to go in and take care of the inmates. But they knew without a shadow of a doubt, that somebody had to do it, and they stepped up to the plate. And I know that's true love. Because the Word of God says, greater love that a man would lay down his life for a friend. And that's what they were doing. And I was telling my church exactly what they did. And so the pastor set it up where, we all would pray for them around the clock. And to God be the glory, he took care of them. And not only did he take care of them while they were taking care of the inmates, that were infected with COVID-19. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that his heart has changed. That he will be a blessing, to the young men and young ladies out here, in society, because he's really helped our kids and also the kids at church by hearing, his testimony and so forth. And I really do believe that if you were to grant him parole, you will see. And if he could talk personally to the family, he would tell them how sad and how sorry he is, because he tells me that all the time, and we pray about it. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mrs. Tyson. We appreciate your comments, and we thank you for being here so very much. Are there any other questions from the board? Thank you both for joining us this morning. If you all will please exit the rooms, we will have an answer for you later today. Thank you.
One moment as the room clears. And the room is clear, and we do have additional testimony facilitated by the Office of Victim Services.
Please wait as the victim joins virtually. Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Poston. I'm sorry, sir, we can't hear you. There you go. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. I kept hitting the mute button.
That's okay. If you would, please state your name and your relationship to the case of Charles Tyson.
I'm John Poston, and he was my uncle.
Yes, sir. And is someone else with you there?
My mother's here.
Okay, if she would, please state her name and relationship to the case.
My name is Myra Poston, and I'm sorry, what was the last one you said?
What is your relationship to Uncle Charlie?
Yeah, the relationship to Charlie was my brother.
Thank you both. If you would, please wait for the board to address you.
All right, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for joining us. We are so sorry for the circumstances that brought you to be a part of this hearing, but we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. At this time, we would like to know whether you are for or against parole, and if either of you wishes to make a statement, you are certainly welcome to do so.
We're definitely against it. Like we've been doing now for I don't know how many years, being inconvenienced and can't move on from this situation. And watching everybody used to come and help us with these parole hearings, either passed away or whatever. So I'm kind of now the only one left to handle all this. But I oppose it on two main reasons again. I'll reiterate like the last several years. The first one being that he was my uncle, a family member. And he was like my big brother. And my mom actually asked me just now, how long ago has he been passed away? And I looked, and it's been 43 years now. And every single day, it seems like 1981 back in my mind, especially when it comes to this time of year. So that thought process will never disappear, or we get over it, move on. But, as far as that goes, he was like my big brother. I loved him, and I wish he could have been here longer to be with me. And, I was telling her today, he got me involved in football when I was a little boy. He went to North Myrtle Beach High. I went to West Florence, and they're actually playing tomorrow, Friday night in the playoffs. And I would have loved to go with him to that, but As you can see, that's impossible now. But as a family member, I definitely oppose it. As a law enforcement officer that's been retired now 25 years and provides security for under a proprietary license under SLED for a church/school, I definitely oppose it from that perspective, mainly because this guy supposedly had robbed my uncle one time already, then robbed him again, and the second time he ended up killing him, shooting him twice. And if that wasn't even bad enough, he decides to shoot at a law enforcement officer that was responding to the scene. I take that very personally on a number of reasons. And based on his past history, there's not been not one time have I listened to the tapes or anything where he comes out and just, says he's sorry, or, he doesn't repent. He doesn't say anything to us or apologize for his behavior or ask for forgiveness. It's more or less, hey, I'm a changed man. I'm a Christian. I sing. I got married, blah, 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 and all that. So it's like he hasn't changed one bit, in my opinion. Again, going back to where he wrote the book on judicial lynching, making a mockery of our justice system, which we do have flaws. Being a cop, I understand the flaws that do exist in our justice system. But we can't let someone like that make a mockery out of it. And so for mainly all those reasons and other victims that have to deal with situations like this every single year and can't move on, I totally deny parole. I request a denial of parole for this guy.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. Mrs. Poston, do you wish to make a statement?
Yes, of course, this was my brother, and he was just so young and taking care of everybody, my mother and all that, and this person who has done so badly to us, and some of the words he even said when I was around. So I just definitely do not want him to be released out into the wild earth, I guess you want to say. But yes, I definitely deny that.
Thank you. And again, we are very, very sorry for the circumstances that brought y'all to be a part of this hearing. But thank you for your time and your comments.